from Zuckerman Spader. For 5 decades, Zuckerman Spader has been a leading litigation firm trusted by in-house and outside counsel, businesses, and individuals. With offices in Washington, Baltimore, New York, and Tampa, Zuckerman Spader serves clients throughout the country and around the world in high-stakes disputes, enforcement matters, investigations, and at trial. When the lawyer you choose matters most. Online at Zuckerman.com. This show is supported by Odoo. When you buy business software from lots of vendors, the costs add up and it gets complicated and confusing. Odoo solves this. It's a single company that sells a suite of enterprise apps that handles everything from accounting to inventory to sales. Odoo is all connected on a single platform in a simple and affordable way. You can save money without missing out on the features you need. Check out Odoo at odoo.com. That's odoo.com. Hey, it's Robin from PRX. There's a really special new show that I think you'd really enjoy. It's called The Selects Podcast, and it's a twice-monthly show that brings you sonic gems from the depths of web archives, radio streams, and early podcasts. Their goal is to preserve work, some of the best audio ever made, from getting lost to defunct podcast feeds, defunded programs, and just time. Listening helps give these works a new life. A lot of the pieces were recommended by some of the most talented audio creators today as having been the piece that inspired them to get into audio, so you know they're going to be pretty consistently excellent. Check out the Selects Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
Please listen closely.
If it ain't got those hands, man,
You don't have to be gay to listen.
If it ain't got that stretch, if it ain't got those eyes.
This morning for breakfast, I had a toasted everything bagel with eggs and cheese and...
From Mermaid Palace and Chanticleer and the Fox, the flower farm and art studio, inside of which I record these words. And also Radiotopia. Welcome to the heart. I'm Caitlin Prest. And this is No. Again, a much needed, fucking review. Episode 3, Answers and Updates. This is serialized, so if you haven't listened to the first few episodes, then go back to the first one and start there. This is the original episode, Answers, untouched by the me of now. Just as I, unknowingly and to the disappointment of my parents, absorbed certain ideas about how I was supposed to be a girl in this world, boys, to the disappointment of their parents, absorbed ideas too.
Steal the beer,
meet the girls, get them drunk, try to get some.
That was the plan.
A 13-year-old boy and his friends create an elaborate plan to get the girls to do sex stuff.
Combination of like beer and making the move, that was the magic answer.
They learned from older boys and men's magazines that getting girls drunk is crucial to the goal of getting girls to do sex stuff.
I remember she even kind of leans into me and I put my arm around her and...
In the construction site, after 3 beers, he slides his hand underneath the lip of Janice's pants. She sits up straight.
That was weird, but that's so I'll try a little more.
She takes his hand away.
Just give it a minute. And then
he puts it back.
Try it again, because that's what you're supposed to do, right?
She takes it away. He puts it back.
This whole no means yes thing that is embedded.
A 15-year-old boy leans back in his chair, letting his knees rest on the back of the chair in front of him, leaning up against whatever girl's butt is in the seat.
If I was sitting behind a girl who I was attracted to, then I would spend a lot of time leaning back in this not that unnatural, but not that natural either position. And I'm cringing.
A 26-year-old boy invites his good friend over to his house late at night and playfully ignores her when she says she doesn't want to do anything below the belt. When she asks him to jerk off in the bathroom, he laughs and they resolve to jerk off beside each other instead. After that night, I don't talk to or see Jay for years. In that time, I search for answers elsewhere. I become obsessed with the topic of consent.
So the idea about the episode is that
I want to hear about a time where, like, someone said no and you pushed it. It became clear you both wanted different things. Was consent inherent to you, like, when you were young, or did you have to, like, unlearn things that you...
Most women that I know have had that experience,
Almost every woman in queer I know has a story about being pressured or coerced into sex by a dude.
If you're going to be involved sexually with men.
And that made me wonder, does that mean that every man I know has a story about pressuring or coercing someone into sex? I start out by talking to the men in my life that I trust the most.
Shall the guilty remain nameless or what?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's hard because you're my dad. Do you know what I mean?
Right. It's fine, whatever.
Okay, so tell me the story.
Long story was I had a real crush on this girl. She got pretty drunk, so I went down and snuggled up, and I was rubbing her sides, and then we kissed a little bit, but that was the extent of it. Nothing too serious by today's standards, but by then that was a big deal.
What?
At that time.
But what was the big deal?
Healing her up, yeah. Yes, and enjoying that. Plus she was wearing a free sweater, which was really nice, Anyway, I still remember it. Anyway, but it was not mutual, so.
When did you know that she was upset about it?
Oh, the day after. We heard through the grapevine. We didn't have texting or Facebook then, but you heard pretty quick through the grapevine, that she was very unhappy about what had happened and felt abused or taken advantage of. And our relationship was never the same after that. I went and apologized, but there was no... coming back from that, and so I felt regretful and paid for it because we were no longer friends after that.
This is a best friend of mine.
As soon as I knew that sex wasn't an option, I became a bit of a dick. I got kind of cold and not really communicative, or I just became like a stereotypical dick, and I became like grumpy and had this really like fuck this attitude, like, oh, if I'm not getting what I came here for, then like, nah. I guess I'm lucky that I got this like really intense, detailed email from her, breaking down what I did, why it was bad, how much it hurt her, how it affected her for like days after. And I'm not going to lie, I also had that reaction which you've described, this like initial reaction of like, ugh, you're like over exaggerating.
This is my first love. Well, I remember you told me this story of this one night that you had with this woman. Can you tell me that story?
I can tell you that story. So we were dancing, we were drinking. She ended up getting really drunk, and her friends were like, definitely putting down the collective foot, saying that, no, I shouldn't sleep with her tonight, that she was too drunk. And she's like, I want you to come over. Went over to her place and was in bed with her, and we were making out, and it was getting heavy. She could feel that I was like moving in. She kind of like, was like, no, like just kind of like a whisper, like kind of keeping it sexy, but like saying like, no, I felt kind of confused because that night, like, we were out and she invited me over to her house. And for me, that's like a message that she wants to hook up, that like she wants something to happen. Otherwise, like, why invite the person you've been making out with all night over to your place at like 4 a.m, unless like you're looking to like fool around a bit more. And so like I remember like getting off of her, just lying there for a bit, feeling kind of disappointed. Then like started making out again, fooling around again. It was kind of like the same process, and it happened. And like after doing that for, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes, like I like got back on top and was kind of making the same moves, and she didn't say no. There wasn't that point of interjection where she like said no before. And like, so I just went for it because I was like stupid and young. And I feel like that's wrong now, you know? Like, I feel like she had said no before, and like I should have just been really vocal about like communicating boundaries and like seeing what she wanted for the night, you know?
Like, do you think that there was a moment where you stopped thinking about what she wanted and was focusing mostly on what you wanted?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like probably the entire encounter, I was thinking what I wanted as opposed to what she wanted. I mean, I thought that what she wanted was the same thing as what I wanted. And, you know, when it wasn't that way, I felt like I was trying to make it that way.
These are only 3 out of 15 stories I got from dudes I'm close to.
We were having sex, and then at some point she just stopped making sounds.
We would be making out, and things would escalate, and then we would have to stop. And that kind of like happened over and over.
She's like, no, and then like went in for more, and it's like still nothing.
I got really exasperated, and I stormed off the bed, and I was like, fine.
Like, I continued to push it, like actively pursuing something at this point that this person clearly doesn't want.
At this point in my life, I believe that behind every wrong done is a vulnerability, a hurt, an as yet unknown personal or social context. I want to hear the inner monologue happening on the other side of a consent breach. But when I ask these men what's going on underneath the surface, a lot of the answers I get are really upsetting.
And I'm like, no, she just doesn't know better for herself.
It's hard to say I remember thinking, because it's almost like I wasn't thinking. Or
That's fucked up. That's not a right thought to have at all.
I just wanted what I wanted, and I wasn't really thinking about her.
Like, once you're in that like end goal state, like you've got a clear mission at hand. Then you're just like completely taken over by your dick, and you don't deprogram, because it's completely a situation where you have to take over and unprogram it yourself. But no one does that. I'm sure people do. I haven't.
Well, there's a kind of like physiological element.
But is that fucking real, man? I don't know if that's real. Like, I mean,
what,
I'm
you
sure,
mean like blue balls or?
Yeah, man.
Blue balls are totally real.
That whole like tease or blue balls, or that whole using that as a way of justifying the actions.
It can get desperate where it's like, and I can't say I've been younger where it's been like, we're not having sex, I just want to get off somehow. Like, I just, want to like, how about a hand blowjob? All right, how about a hand job? Or, let me just put my dick on your shoulder.
Maybe if I can just get him in the mood, because clearly that will change everything. And like, you just like try random shit, and it's like
statements like just the tip. All I want to do is put the tip in. I don't even want to have sex with you. We're not going to go all the way. I just want to see what it feels like to have the tip in, which is such a crock of shit.
When someone says no, like, what are the different reactions that you have? Do you know what I mean? Like, because I think that there's one thing where it's like you get mad and then you keep pushing.
Well, I mean, yeah, you get mad, and that's your way of pushing.
Because, the idea of like taking something like, forcefully, like sex from someone, that's a real rapist kind of rape type. That's rape. I mean, you think of that as being like a really like she's squirming around, but the reality is, what I imagine this is about, is that that's not always how it goes down. And it could be against someone's will in the sense that they don't want to, but then you wear them down.
I think coercion is definitely when you push someone to the point where they're just tired of having to, like, it's exhausting with them saying no, and they're just like, all right, fine.
Person after person talks about pushing someone to the point where they're tired of saying no, exhausted by the back and forth. It was pretty validating to hear my own experience reflected back at me. For most of these interviews, I just listened. I didn't insert my opinion. But with my dad, I was really able to get into it.
The whole idea for this project came from an experience I had with a friend I was trying to say that I wasn't comfortable with what was happening, and he totally ignored me. I tried to say no, and he reacted badly. And he was my friend.
All right, but was it a situation where you invited him to snuggle with you and stay overnight?
Well, he invited me to snuggle with him and stay overnight, and I came over.
I warned you about that sort of thing. You know, when he was proposing that to you, he had something completely different in mind than you did.
But don't you think that it's wrong that he have that expectation?
I think that it's wrong that he didn't take no for an answer. Absolutely. You know, the problem is that you have to be more wary. I think that at that point, was that when you were in Montreal?
No, I was 27. It was 3 years ago.
Oh, gosh. Okay, you know. So, anyway, I have always told you that I think that you're naive in that.
Yeah. And I mean, of course, I did have lots of situations where I invited people over and they expected more. But I got really good at saying, you know what? The bathroom's right there. Take care of it, you know, and then come back. You know? And I did. I mean, that's
where I think you were being unfair.
No,
because you were being selfish because you wanted to snuggle, but they wanted something else. And anyway, it's not fair. But anyways, we've had that conversation.
Why isn't it fair? I mean, like, shouldn't everyone have equal?
It's not fair because of everything I was saying about the animal natures of the human and of the male anatomy.
Yeah, but I feel like that's a construction.
No, it's not an excuse. As you're lying beside an attractive girl who you like.
But that's
especially when you're young, when you're 25, shit happens. Like, you know.
Even my own dad is telling me I deserve what I get. I keep fighting him on this until I realize that what he's trying to get at is something that I've heard a lot of people in my life say. There's the world that we want to live in, and there's the world that we actually live in. We have to be careful. I'm willfully naive. It's true, I am willfully naive. Because I don't want to walk through this world spending a percentage of my mental energy being afraid. I'd rather strive for a world where people are worthy of my trust than accept that people are shitty.
Do you want to start?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, what were you thinking?
That you should start.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. But when you gave me the option, I was like, was there an alternative? I mean, I would love an alternative. Should we
not starting would be the alternative.
I know, yeah.
This is Jay, the real one. No reenactments, no actors. It's been 3 years since we had that shitty hookup that inspired this entire series. I knew that after interviewing all of these men, that he was the one I really needed to talk to. I procrastinated calling him for months. He definitely knows that I was upset. But I don't think he knows exactly why. And in this interview, I have to tell him why. I'm afraid. I'm afraid of the same thing I was afraid of that night. I'm afraid of silencing myself to avoid an uncomfortable moment. I'm afraid that he's going to convince me that my feelings are illegitimate. And I'm afraid that he'll be a jerk. Over the years, Jay has become kind of a monster in my head, a stereotype. He's morphed into a combination of every man I've ever felt sexually coerced by. He's become the poster boy of fake feminist men who think they're feminists because they took some courses in college and really love women. My friend Jay is gone. I don't even know who that person is anymore. But a part of my heart opens when he says yes to doing this interview. I can tell that he doesn't really want to do it. I can tell that he's doing it because he wants to help me out. He could sense how much I really wanted him to say yes.
Yes. So what if, I don't know, why don't you...
I mean, should we do the hard part first or the easy part first?
Is there a hard part?
Well, I mean, I feel quite nervous about talking about, like, me and you and stuff, you know? I know. Why do you have to make that face? Is that face because you feel like it's stupid, or is that face like?
No, it's not stupid. It's of course it's valid. It's like it's legit, but I don't know. Doesn't it feel like such a small thing?
But see, I think that's the thing, is that it feels so much bigger to me than it does to you, I think.
I know. I really knew you were going to say that. I hoped you weren't going to say that. I just saw it coming.
It's okay. I mean,
no, is it? I mean, it's got to be. Whatever. I also just don't feel like me just rehashing it's just so much work. Can't we just?
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Can we just move on? Like, really? Is it really that big a deal? Like, honestly?
I mean, the thing is, it's not that.
Because it can't be in your daily life. Like, can this really follow you around?
I mean, there's like the honest answer to that question, and then there's the answer to that question, which is like me really wanting to not make you feel bad. Do you know what I mean?
To my thinking, it's just like, in all of our friendship, knowing what you know about me, don't I get a pass for one infraction of this line? I just, like, stupid, I just was a drunken fool. Like pushed over all sort and just made such a big mistake. And I get that it was a big mistake, but it was a mistake, and it was like one. And like, you know, would it be so bad? I'm not asking you to get over it, but just like in the abstract, if you think about another friendship, not ours, would it be so bad to just get over that one thing? You know? Like, does it really warrant becoming baggage for so many years? Yeah. It's just, I don't know. That could also just be me, since I'm the one who fucked up. But I also think you fucking overreacted. So, you know. I don't know.
I mean...
And you also, like, haven't talked to me for years until now you need something, right?
My giggling tells me that I'm nervous. But I know that in this moment I'm also relieved that we're getting right into it. Looking him in the eye through the computer, seeing into his bedroom, watching him angle the camera so that the light's flattering. The dude bro monster melts away. And I'm just chilling with my friend Jay, about to have a pretty intimate conversation. It's kind of nice. I'm not scared of him anymore. What I'm scared of is that I won't have the courage to say what I need to say. But I start to try.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Fair point. But I have to say that, like, I didn't remember you ever saying sorry or, like, acknowledging my feelings about it or even just saying sorry. Like, I just didn't remember you saying sorry. Like, I felt like I really trusted you as a friend, and that, like, I said I don't really want to touch junks, and then you kept junk touching and putting my hand on your junk and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And telling me to touch your junk, and I kept trying to sort of like push back, you know what I mean? Like in a nice way.
At this point, I talk for about 10 minutes straight.
And you made me, like, I remember
I tell him all of it, and he just listens, wincing here and there.
And you were like, fine. And you were
I tell him what he did, how it made me feel. I tell him about Trevor Smalls and the blowjob in the basement.
It really triggered me. Like, it brought me back to, like,
I tell him that he'd said and did things that had brought me back there.
From when I was a teenager and stuff, you know, like shitty experience.
I tell him he made me feel like a means to an end.
Yeah, okay. I get that. I don't know what else to say. It would have been nice to have had this conversation then, right? Like, after it happened. Because, like you said, too, it's like then we jerked off in front of each other. And I was like a super pushy, drunk, hookup guy. But that's all I was. I wasn't basement guy.
I know, but
and like no. But hear me out. Like I understand that it pushes, and it's like I heard everything you said that you just said. Like I heard it all. I guess what's frustrating is like the fact that there is trauma that then compounds that's like a fact, but it would be nice to know like which specific ones were getting added to me. Cause like, I know I pushed you back there, but then those things that you experienced are not what happened necessarily. Like, I don't.
Yeah. I mean, I think that like it's more.
But there's not even much of a difference at that point.
But that's the thing. Like, I guess it did feel.
Yeah, but like that was enough. That was enough for you to just like write me off. Like, where do I get to draw the line and be like, well, you know what? That's not me. Like, I'm not all those other people. I'm sorry that that like we got drunk together and that I tried to do hand stuff and you didn't want to, and then it ended up with us doing hand stuff next to one another. And then I'm sorry that still drunkenly I was a dick. And then I'm sorry that drunkenly I said a bad thing. And, you know, I'm sorry for all that. But it's like, how bad do I have to feel? One thing is like parsing out where I end and like all the other terrible dudes in the world begin, which is a frustrating thing for a young man to deal with. Fuck, man. Also, like, haven't I done my time? Like, do I really have to feel like I haven't gotten to talk to you for years now because of it? Like, how much guilt do I really have to have?
See, you're making me feel bad.
Okay. I just want to know.
Okay.
You're making me feel bad.
Okay. No, I don't think that you still have to feel bad.
I don't think I asked you for permission to stop feeling bad. Yeah, and then the only reason I asked that is, but it is an isolated incident in our friendship. It is.
We talked for about an hour and a half total. I'll spare you all the details. Mostly we just kept circling back around the same point. Why it shouldn't be that big of a deal. I realized that I never got a chance to ask what his inner monologue was of that night, or what larger personal and social contexts might have been at play. But I wasn't silent. I stood my ground, and I fought for the legitimacy of my feelings.
But I felt like you missed some of my cues. You were pushy. Most women are dealing with some degree of sexual trauma. It feels like the right thing to look at it through the lens of being a dude. There's something slippery about isolating specific sexual activities. This one's worse than that one. If a friend of mine says that they're upset, my first reaction is to be like, oh my God, what the fuck did I do? I'm so sorry, times 1,000. And I didn't feel that from you. Suddenly to you, I was just like a means to an end.
It still makes me angry that I had to fight so hard for the legitimacy of my feelings in the first place. And when I start cutting the interview, I start to hear how accusatory his voice sounds.
Yeah, Caitlin. I mean, it sucks. Like, I had fucked up and
Instead of talking about why he was a jerk that night, we talk about why I'm a jerk for being upset about it. I hear how each of his apologies were paired with a rebuttal of the entire premise of the conversation. Like, this is not what an apology sounds like.
I'm sorry that still drunkenly I was a dick, and, you know, I'm sorry for all that, but it's like, how bad do I have to feel?
This is what an apology sounds like.
Caitlin, I'm so sorry. I mean, I fucked up.
That's Tommy, the actor who played Jay in the last episode. I hired Tommy to pretend to be Jay for one more day. And I tried out what it would feel like to do more than just explain myself politely and tactfully, but to actually get angry. It was your fault.
I'm realizing that now. That.
Do you know why it was your fault? I'm gonna tell you why it was your fault. You were a fucking asshole! It's fucked up that you belittle the way that I feel about this just because we didn't have penetrative sex.
You were mean to me!
Fucking mean. You hurt my feelings and you won't even fucking apologize in a real apologizing way about it. If I fucking hurt your feelings, I would feel like shit about it. You don't fucking feel like shit about it. You treated me like a fucking Barbie doll. I was taught from birth to put what you want before what I want. And it's your fucking job to be sensitive to that. You perform masculinity really fucking well. You're doing a great job at it. You're a man, and I hate you for it. You have all the fucking privilege cards. You treated me like shit. And you're acting like I've wronged you. I fucking hate you and your kind. That didn't really feel right. I hate getting mad.
I think my ideal conversation is one where there's just a lot of care. But doesn't mean that I haven't started to feel a bit angry at men in general. I start reading a bunch of bell hooks. Bell Hooks says that by being angry at men and pointing the finger at men and blaming all of this on men, that all we're doing is accepting the idea that men are all powerful and women are all powerless. If all men are inevitably oppressive, then all women are inevitably victims. She says that women are masking their longing to be dominators by taking on the mantle of victimhood. I think Bell Hooks would say that the problem isn't men. Basically, it's about the way that we define power and the way that we all use and abuse whatever power we have. I've definitely done it. If the way that we've culturally defined how to be powerful in this world is to be dominant, and to be dominant is to be masculine, and to be masculine is to be strong, and to be strong is to have your way be the way in spite of what anyone else wants, that is some shit that we all need to start looking at and deprogramming. And the crazy thing is that when you connect all of that shit with sex, it's a wonder that any sex we have is consensual.
Power, physical power, and that's something that like becomes desirable and like something that's worked into what the sexual dynamic is about using that power to take something from a woman.
That gender dynamic translates over into trans men and even some masculine presenting women. I've experienced it myself. Like one of the first times I hooked up with like a straight girl, I was like, oh, I have to act like the way she's used to men acting. Be really confident and not question myself and seem like I know what I'm doing.
Whether I like it or not, I am perceived as more masculine because I am like a masculine of center, gender nonconforming person. I've been expected to be in a more dominant top situation.
Having that role to play in an intimate encounter where you're supposed to own the other person's body carries a lot of risk with it because it's hard to tell what's too far.
I'm in the middle of a sexual negotiation right now with somebody who that's exactly what she is into. Just being completely dominated and like taken by somebody. And I'm super into that too. Like that's one of the things I like. And I like it as a gender dynamic. I like all those things about it. I'm like completely uncomfortable doing that without essentially like more or less like having it in writing. Like I love sexual planning. That's like one of my favorite things is just like, let's just spell this all out.
I think that I was hoping after a few years, Jay would have reflected on what happened between us and realized on his own where things went wrong. That it would have changed him, made him more sensitive to this kind of stuff. And maybe if I wasn't the one interviewing him, if it was someone more neutral, the conversation would have gone differently. Maybe it would have gone more like the way that it went with my friends. How can you register consent now? Like,
it's like largely just through intuiting what that person wants or needs. I mean, sometimes I'll like ask a person like, are you okay with this? Right. You know, or are you okay with me touching you here? Or like, or I'll say, do you want to have sex? Those are verbal cues. But largely I think that like there's just kind of a tacit understanding between people as to like how far they want to go. And I think I'm more sensitive to that now.
Being good at consent is just really about being good at caring about other people all the time. Even if there's something you really, really want, that you can still think about who the person you're wanting it from is.
There's no such thing as overreacting. There's just the reaction. And I'm not allowed to decide whether reaction is an overreaction or an underreaction. It just like is the way someone reacted to a certain situation. And I'm not allowed to decide otherwise.
Like it's only nice when it's a good experience for both people. So like, why would I want to impose myself like that? Why would I want to make it a shitty night for someone? It's going to be a shitty night for me if it's a shitty night for them. We're sharing the night together. So, because like, I'm really like violating myself when I violate them, because I ruin the experience for both of us. And then I have to deal with the guilt for like 8 years. Like, I still remember that one night. It was just a single night, you know? And it's like, I feel bad about it now to this day.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if I need to change like everything about the way that I have sex, even like with my partner now. Like if it's just too fucked up to do. Maybe, you know, like maybe we shouldn't do it like that, you know? I bet there are so many other narratives that we could use to be sexy. A friend of mine told me that they and their partner were doing a backpack role play where they were trying each other on as backpacks and being backpacks for one another. So that sounds kind of cool. Shit like that. Like, I think we just need to get more creative.
And so, at the end of all of this, I'm like, what now? Amidst all of the sexes I've had that were shitty with dudes, there were also many sexes I've had with women and men that were a perfect dance of pleasure, care, and love. Dances with people I just met and would never see again. Dances with people who would become my long-term partners. Dances with people who were pushy but realized it and apologized with real sincerity the next day. I've had sexes where someone overstepped and readjusted immediately. And I've had sexes where I'm expected to be masculine and dominant and make all the moves, and I'm fucking immobilized because I'm so scared of doing something that the person doesn't like. Where I marvel at the confidence and grace that some of the dominant sexual partners in my life have achieved. Taking action, but being so tapped into how I'm responding. Their perfect fluency in my body language. How receptive they are when I say, not this, but that. How we follow each other and listen to each other, back and forth, until we're both exactly where we want to go. You have just heard Answers, the third episode of No. The series was originally released in May 2017. It is now the end of August 2025. And the purpose of this much-needed review is to think about what's happened in that period of time. This is the updates section. Since 2017, these are some of the things that have happened with the men that you heard speaking in this episode. In the past 8 years, one of these men assaulted his girlfriend while they were having sex. He initiated BDSM play during a sexual encounter that they had after a huge fight, and used the pretense of consensual kink to release aggression towards her in a violent way. She called him on it afterwards, and when he admitted that she was right, she broke up with him for good. He wasn't completely able to take responsibility for it. Another one of the men that you heard in this episode, who's one of my friends, had a girlfriend. This girlfriend had significant sexual trauma. They had been navigating it throughout the relationship.
A lot of the time, sex just wasn't really a happy or fun place for her because it so often brought up the bad things that had happened before. My friend was hanging out with this girlfriend of his. He had tried for sex early in the night, and she'd said no. Hours later, they were in bed, watching a movie or something, and his experience was that she was responsive physically, and when he initiated penetration, she was reacting positively. He noticed suddenly that her body froze still for a moment. It was so quick, he thought it might have been the moment of going stiff before coming. It all went really fast. It was too fast for him to be sure or to stop himself to check in. They did check in after he came, after it was over. And right away she expressed that actually she'd been sleeping and she woke up to him inside of her. That was why she froze, because she was regaining consciousness. He experienced having sex with somebody who was willing. Her experience was of waking up to see that her boyfriend was non-consensually fucking her. My friend, instead of apologizing profusely, my friend ended up arguing with her about whether or not he'd done anything wrong. He could have easily made it right, or at least eased the damage by focusing on what she was feeling and honoring the truth of what she experienced when she came to. What he missed is that in this case, it really doesn't matter what he experienced. For a while, it seemed like they had resolved it, or at least moved on from it. And they ended up breaking up for other reasons, according to him. Months later, he received a notification from the institution in charge of the residence he was staying in. She had made a report to them about what had happened in an email, with a sexual assault advocate and a lawyer CC'd. While the administration, who he had been living with for months and months, advocated for a restorative justice approach. A restorative justice approach is one where healing is the goal. Both parties are meant to be held in community as they grow and heal. The former girlfriend did not want to go through that. While the admin held the complexity of the situation and the absence of intent to harm, they did end up deciding to expel him from the residence. And when we were having a visit and he was telling me about this, I felt all different kinds of ways about it. Another one of the men that you heard talking in this series got married and had a baby. He's a dad now. It sounds nice, it sounds like a success, but I'm telling you right now, it doesn't mean he hasn't fucked up consent in his marriage. I just don't feel like calling him and asking him, or her. We can just safely assume that he has. Let's just safely assume that. But maybe the reason why they're still married is because he knows how to apologize and repair. He knows how to clock when he went too far or did something fucked up. I believe that we should all be doing this all the time. Like the last person who spoke says, being good at consent is just being good at caring about people all the time. Even if there's something you really, really want.
I'm writing back to you, not out of obligation, but out of reflection and remorse.
One of these men, after hearing the full finished series, got in touch with one of the women that he was shitty to.
I was extremely selfish and hurtful.
And apologized to her.
I'm someone who takes pride in my ability to connect and care for people. My behavior towards you raised many questions regarding who I really am and what motivations drive me in the context of women and intimacy.
Way after the fact and years later.
I'm not looking for you to accept my apology or write back, but an I'm sorry is undoubtedly due. I'm deeply sorry for the way I treated you, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
He took it upon himself to make it right, even if the event was a one-time thing, an ancient history by most standards. In the next episode, I will share with you my own updates. Where I've been in the last 8 years since making this, how I've changed. I'll share with you the story of where the friendship with Jay landed after our second attempt at a conversation about what happened, which you heard in this episode, after I decided to use this second attempt, this interview. Did I cut the interview together and leave him in my past for the rest of my life, like everybody told me I should? Like everybody said he deserved? That is the story that you will get if you donate $100. Donate $100 on the Mermaid Palace PayPal, please. Thank you. I was just gonna come out here and say right now, okay, that the likelihood that you, person who's listening, have once paid $100 to go see a piece of theater, have once paid $100 to go see a supremely famous performer like Beyonce or Lady Gaga or Paul McCartney or System of a Down. They're coming to Toronto and I'm gonna miss it because Natalie and I are going to GemCon. It's a really bad conflict. You know, maybe I should kick it up higher. Think about what's the most expensive concert ticket you've ever paid for. Would you consider paying that? Think about it like a university course plus therapy plus an excellent piece of art or theater all in one, you know? Like that's definitely worth $300, I think. I know. Beyonce doesn't need your $300. I do. I need your $300. Please. $300. Anybody who donates between $100 and $300, there's actually a early draft of the second episode about the story of what happened between Jay and I, and it's a lot more romantic. Upon listening to it a second time, I felt it was a more accurate portrayal of what really happened between us because it was romantic. If I don't make enough money, I have to make at least $10,000. That's basically what's up. I have to make $10,000. That's how much it's gonna cost. I sincerely hope that this is not surprising for you to hear. Professionally produced audio episodes cost, on the cheapest, something that is heavily produced like this with lots of interviews is at least $18,000 per episode. I've heard of episodes costing $50,000 per episode. So think about that as I ask for 10. Okay. Thank you to the people who have already donated. Fucking God bless you. Thank you so much for donating. We have Lucy. We have Stephanie. We have Davey, Ryland, Catherine, Jonah, Andreas, Aubrey. You are going to get something special. Daniel, Ryland, Eliana, again, because you donate. Samantha, Catherine. Regular. Thank you, Ryland. If I don't make $10,000, then I'm gonna just put out the 4th episode that came out 8 years ago, which is essentially just a panel. I'm sorry to say. It's gonna be a panel. I will happily also send you the thing that I am going to especially send to the people who donate between $100 and $300. If you would like to make me an offer of $100 worth of your labor or the fruits of your labor, your time, I'm totally open to trades or click that link. Do your part. Pay for important, insightful, and extremely painful to make art. I reserve the right to decline if it seems like it's going to be too complicated to make good on. So there's an ad on the feed right now. I don't know, you probably skip the ads. I always skip the ads. But one of these ads is very important. I put it there myself. It is from a friend of mine named Jiminica Eborn. She is known by some as the Trauma Queen. She has a podcast called Trauma Queen. She's also a sexual health healer, educator, organizer. She is a genius. She works as a counselor for wrestlers. I don't know, I just think that's so cool. I did go to see my first and only wrestling match because of her. She is a savant, a wise person when it comes to healing from rape, sexual assault, and she does workshops and support groups and stuff like this, and it's really fucking smart. I don't know, all the things. I mean, if you're listening to this show, then you're probably like, I don't know if I trust fucking regular psychology. Like, what is Western psychology anyway? Like, it's not that. This is not that. This is all the things that you like about this show, like the ideological architecture. It's that, but better probably. So listen to the ads so that you can catch her telling you about it, and follow her online. I'm going to put it in the show notes. Please send me voice memos of your thoughts, your view on everything that you've heard so far. I want to hear what you think. Please do tell me. Okay? Caitlin@mermaidpalace.org. Thank you. Or actually, it's better if you do it on Instagram. Do it on Instagram. Follow me @CaitlinPrest. Thank you. Thank you. Chanticleer and the Fox is a permaculture flower farm and art studio in Roseneath, Ontario. And I name it at the beginning of this episode because that's where I'm sitting right now. I am on the Chanticleer and the Fox farm and art studio. I am making art in the art studio. The queen of the farm is named Becky O'Neill, and I have to give a huge thanks to Becky O'Neill, without whom I would no longer be making art. And when I say that, I really mean it, because she's the one who reminded me I was an artist when I was 19. She's the one who reminded me I was an artist when I was 22. She's the one who introduced me to puppetry. She's the one who made it feel possible to continue making art at age 38, 39, and hopefully forevermore. Chanticleer and the Fox. Follow her on Instagram. She's an animator. She makes amazing, beautiful things. The show, I mean, in a way, everything you've heard on The Heart in the past year is like somewhat sponsored by Chanticleer and the Fox, because of how often I come and stay here and hang out with Becky and talk about art with her, and have her listen to things and tell me they were fine or not fine. That's the reality. Okay, love. Goodbye.
Ew. Ugh. Bug. Good. Yeah, I just, when a bug like catches you by surprise? What? When a bug catches you by surprise?
Oh, yes. There's many bugs. Many bugs waiting to surprise
Radiotopia. From